Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and other eager participants, we welcome you to our webinar series, Business Launch Essentials, hosted by the Maldives Business School. I am Mohammad Azim, your host for today, and I'm an adjunct lecturer here at the college, and I'm thrilled to embark on this exciting new journey with all of you today. At the Maldives Business School, our commitment has always been to put our students first and at the forefront of everything that we do. We pride ourselves in delivering top-notch education, empowering our students with the skills and the knowledge that is necessary to excel in today's dynamic and ever-evolving business landscape. We offer over 20 plus innovative programs ranging from university preparation programs, master's degrees in diverse subjects, including business administration, finance, HR, marketing, and even IT, which helps to epitomize and show our dedication to fostering a digital-first educational environment that is clearly targeted at the Maldivian business landscape. We offer fully digital programs, including 100% online courses. Interactive resources are offered to our students, and we also have a very vibrant online student community where we strive to prepare our students to succeed in an ever-evolving, rapid world. Through this session today, we mark the inauguration of an all-new webinar series, which is specifically designed to ignite the entrepreneurial spirit within our students. Through this, our goal is very simple yet very profound. We want to offer our students an insight into what we believe are many opportunities that are available within the Maldivian market, and to prepare our students with essential knowledge for venturing into the world of business. Joining our webinar today, we have two esteemed industry experts who are here to share their insights on how you can get your own business started and up and running in no time. Joining us today, we first have our first speaker, Mr. Mohammad Iman, who serves as the Deputy Manager at SME Hub by Business Center Corporation, which is a state-owned enterprise incorporated in 2017. Mr. Iman works on behalf of BCC, which is implementing body of micro, small and medium-sized enterprises and other development projects which are initiated by the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade. Their main objective is to create and enable an inclusive business environment for small businesses in the Maldives through various support mechanisms. And Mr. Iman would be happy to share more information regarding their SOE as part of today's session. We also have next on the panel, Mr. Shabin Habib, who is the creative director of Coil Holdings International Private Limited, a noteworthy reseller hosted by Authentic Maldives. Coil Holdings initially launched an eyewear brand in December of 2021 and has since expanded into other various product lines, including Comfort by Coil and a resort supply venture. So through these innovative projects, they focus on integrating elements of our heritage and Maldivian culture into their product lines, while also speaking to us today on how they navigated challenges which arose from the logistical constraints and restrictions posed during the post-COVID economic downturn. Thank you both for joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedule to speak to our guests and our participants. Today's session is going to be very engaging and interactive. We've integrated many exciting live polls and many quizzes that are integrated within our session. And we would be happy for you all to just pass any kind of questions or comments that you may have directed to our speakers. Feel free to scan this QR code, which is visible on your screen right now, and join in on the fun. We are utilizing a platform called Menti. You can quickly scan the QR code. It will take you a page where you can also join in on the questions which we will be asking. So please don't hesitate to participate actively by utilizing the polls and dropping any questions that you may have in the chat thread. Your engagement is also very crucial to making this session not only informative, but also to make it very exciting and lively. So without any further ado, we would like to dive into today's exploration series. Thank you all for joining us today and making this session a collaborative and enlightening experience. To begin with, I'm first going to ask all of you to join on and just answer the first question that should be visible to you on your Menti screen. I'm also going to be sharing my end and show it to you all. Okay, I've received a comment that some of you are not able to scan the QR code. There are two ways to join this. You could just go to menti.com and write the code that's visible here, but I'll also put up the QR code on the screen for easy access. So we can see that we have quite a lot of participants joining us. We have some of you joining in from the south. There's two of you from Mal area. We'll just give you all a few minutes and we'll be happy to share these results once today's session is over. I'd also like to let you all know that you can get a copy of today's recording available for you all on the college resources once it's done and completed. All right. Okay, so now we're just going to move forward and start with today's session. So the first question that I would like to, the first theme that I would like to focus on is on the types of support that is available to startups or budding entrepreneurs in the Maldives. So first, my first question is targeted at Mr. Iman. Uh, Let me just see if he's available.
Hi, can you hear
Hi,
me?
yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
So the first question that I wanted to ask is, what is the inspiration behind setting up an organization such as Business Center Corporation? What were the types of uh, what were the inspirations behind creating an organization that is solely targeting on focusing on supporting startups and building new entrepreneurs in the Maldives?
I think, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity and sincere apologies on behalf of Ari, who was supposed to join, but had extenuating circumstances, so I am filling in. But regarding the question of what inspired our organization to focus on startups and entrepreneurs in the Maldives is, I think in the introduction, as I mentioned, that we are a government corporation that is incorporated in 2017 through a presidential decree. So we were created for the sole purpose of supporting local startups and entrepreneurs. And that includes micro, small, and medium enterprises that is by law defined and categorized as such. So opportunities are provided for such organizations or enterprises through Business Center Corporation within different projects that we undertake, and also at the same time we provide consultation services and trainings and workshops to enhance the entrepreneurial mindset and skill set here in the Maldives. So I think that has been the source of inspiration for all our projects that we have started, which includes Authentic Maldives, SMA Hub, Seed by BCC, our co-working space, and Maldives Business Network, our TV channel. So all our projects are, and the projects that are in the pipeline as well, has the same inspiration.
Thank you for that wonderful intro, Iman. I just wanted to follow up on that and ask you whether you could share a few success stories or any type of startups or entrepreneurs which your organization has directly supported, and what was the process like from inception to where they are today?
I think Shabin can provide a very insightful information regarding how Authentic Maldives has supported his business. But before that, I think in terms of SMA Hub and the vendors and the suppliers that are uh, with us at the moment and who has conducted their businesses throughout the past year, because yesterday was the first year anniversary of SMA Hub, and throughout the last year, what I have personally seen was that businesses who actually started with a zero budget, essentially they just dipped into their savings, they just came up with any of the budget that they could accumulate during a very small period of time that we opened up for new vendors. So they came in, we gave them um, essential supplies or essential uh, stuff that they can use to start up their businesses, especially the food and beverages kiosks that you see in the SMA hub. So the success of those uh, startups or entrepreneurs was that even though they started from essentially zero budget, they were still able to turn that into three-figure revenue uh, amounts throughout the past few years. Or even in case of businesses who started with SME Hub during the past year, they were able to turn those amounts into three-figure amounts, four-figure amounts as well during the past 12 months. So I think that's a huge success, and that is a testament to how they actually planned out their business even after starting. I mean, usually in the best case scenario, it's ideal for you to ideate your business before you start, but these were cases where they were given an opportunity and they grabbed onto it. So I think those stories of those businesses who actually started with one of our projects and was still able to grow within us, and then actually they are in a position where they could move out of this. SME Hub is essentially an incubation facility. So now they have the opportunity and they have the means and the experience to move out of the facility and start their own business in terms of their own outlet or outlets, and their own space where they can actually have more authority, more control, more they can make more business decisions in terms of taking more risks. So I think that can be one of the more inspiring stories that we've encountered in the recent recent experiences that we've had.
I mean, back to the question that you just now said regarding SME Hub and most of the ventures undertaken by BCC, where you support businesses, where there's a lot of handholding and a lot of resources and support provided to them. What are some of the types of key elements or some types of qualities that you look for when selecting a business? Or what are the types of qualities that a business needs to have in order to qualify to receive support from BCC?
You could have no business and you could still get support from BCC, because even if you have an idea, you can still come to us, get consultancy, get verbal support as well. Just have a discussion with us in terms of how you can conduct your business going forward. So you don't necessarily have to have a registered corporation or a company to be eligible for that support. But if you look into projects like SME Hub or Authentic Motives, then you'll probably need to have a registered enterprise. So even if you are a startup, you'll have to be registered in order to get into these projects. And when you look at Authentic Motives, then you would need a specific criteria that need to be met. So I think that is one thing that has to be considered. And at the same time, in Authentic Motives, even if you are a startup business, then you can give us the evidence that perhaps your product or your products are in the threshold that we consider it as an authentic Maldivian product. So that is a technical aspect that you would need to be mindful of if you are going to put your products into authentic Maldives to gain more market, because we have outlets in Male, we have an outlet in Crossroads, and then in Addu International Airport and Velana International Airport in the duty free. So in order to get your products into these outlets, then you would have to be mindful of this threshold. And if you look at SME Hub, then for the food and beverages kiosks, you would need to be a small, a micro or small enterprise. For the second floor kiosks that are that where you can sell products that is other than food and beverages. So that includes art and craft, garment, and other such products. Then you could be any of the small, micro, small, or medium enterprise. So the opportunities are given to businesses after the process that I've mentioned about the consultation and trainings and stuff. After that, all the other projects, except Seed by BCC, of course, which is open for public as a co-working space. So all of these SME Hub, Authentic Maldives, these projects, you would need to be registered as a business and as an SME. So you need to be mindful that being registered as a business is a separate component, and then afterwards you will be needed to register as an SME as well. So I think that is basically how it's been working so far.
Wonderful. I just wanted to, yeah, we just wanted to sort of speak on the next part of this, which is, what do you think are some types of specific challenges that you have seen among new entrepreneurs that want to get into this sector? What do you think are the reasons why they are quite hesitant or not very
Yeah.
open towards going into these types of, I mean, there's a lot of resources, like you said,
Yeah.
particularly through BCC as well. There are many mediums available, but why do you think the support or the participation towards these ventures and projects are quite less in the Maldivian market?
I think the experiences that we've had through different consultations, we've been able to give, I think, more than 5,000 consultations within the past few years. So our experience is that a lot of the times, getting financial support with different financial institutions, that is one of the key challenges that we've faced, because I think there is still um a difficulty and a consensus, I think, that it is a difficult thing, and it has difficulties in terms of perhaps more risks. It's difficult to take risks, of course. I think that is one key challenge that we've faced in terms of convincing the up and coming entrepreneurs that there is obviously a certain degree of risk involved in undertaking any type of business. And of course, there are different, the degree of risk is different in different industries and different businesses. So I think that is obviously there, but at the same time, I think it's important to note that um, going to conduct any business will have a certain degree of risk. I think that is one of the key challenges that we face in order to get that point across in a way that that will encourage people to be more entrepreneurial in the country. So that is one thing. The other thing is, even though we have all of us included, I think we usually have different key ideas that could potentially be profitable or commercialized in the future. But it's important to conduct a proper ideation process in order to really get into the business and be able to conduct it in a manner that will be sustainable and profitable in the future. So one of the other key challenges that we faced is usually the businesses that we deal with, when they come in with an idea, they've already either started or they are in the process of starting the business before properly ideating, before properly thinking about the aspects that are included in the business. Usually you would think about how the business is going to be conducted. That is number one. And how are you going to manage the finances in order to start the business? Those are the two key elements usually the entrepreneurs that we've experienced with, they think about, but they usually don't think about aspects like marketing, promotion, and probably logistics, or maybe if you look at administrative functions, those are the things that are missed out when we usually go to start a business, when we think about starting a business. So during that period, what we usually do is, when we go to a consultation, when we realize that these aspects are missing in one uh, uh, business, or for an entrepreneur that we are trying to help, then we try to build up a conversation where we bring those key aspects and elements into the conversation and see what the entrepreneur is thinking in that regard. So usually, even if you don't have it in writing, you will have some sort of plan in your head. So when that comes out, and when we have a conversation or discussion about it, then the flaws in that plan or the potential drawbacks of that plan usually comes out. So we try to give them support in that respect, so that they even if they don't have it in writing, they at least think about it, so that when the challenges arise in the real context, then they'll be ready for it. They know exactly what they need to do. So that is something we faced. And usually our recommendation is that in terms of perhaps finances, because we have the SME bank now, it's more I think safer to be engaged with the SME bank, because they have fairer rates for SMEs, and it will be easier to manage as well. I think that is one key thing that we usually recommend. But at the same time, I think having a proper ideation of your idea or of your business is key, and extremely essential for the business to be sustainable and to be profitable in the near future. So because if you don't have a proper ideation process, then usually the challenges that you face during the practical aspect of the business, you are not ready for it. And it will take some time for you to get accustomed to it as well. So I think that those are the key things that I can highlight for now.
Wonderful. We're just going to now move forward to a live poll question once again. If you guys can just switch over to your devices. So the next question that I just wanted to ask the participants is whether they have considered opening up their own business, or whether they've ever had the the thought of starting your own businesses. Let's see what the participants have to say. Maybe. Okay. Alrighty, we have some interesting questions. So we can see that a lot of participants have considered starting a business, but I think the next question that I'm going to ask them is going to also sort of tie in with what Mr. Iman had said, which is what do they think are some of the types of challenges that they face, or they have, some sort of unknown perceptions that they have towards what could be challenges to starting a business in the Maldives. Participants are encouraged, you can just type in your answers and send it to us, and it should appear up on the screen. Okay, and we can see a few responses. One related to finance, one related to seed. I'm not entirely sure what
I think it's about seed money, right?
seed
Startup
money,
cost.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, to the finances. Okay. Do we have any other the knowledge of, okay, the market maybe, right? Increased competition. This is also a common theme which I have noticed among my students as well, that the market is quite diluted, that it's become too saturated with similar or common types of products, not having the knowledge. So just moving back to what you just now said, if I just wanted to, yeah, we're getting more answers. The location is also key, right? Not knowing how to proceed due to regulatory hurdles, ideally. The time. Mhm. Right. These are some very interesting observations that they have made. I have a follow-up question to these answers to Mr. Iman once again. What do you think? I mean, this is just something that we have seen, a common trend that, my business is not innovative enough, or my idea is, too easy to be replicated by a competitor or someone else. So considering these types of evolving landscapes, and considering how easy it is to, start your own business in today's landscape, what do you think are the types of new emerging trends, or the types of changes that you see that are available for startups or budding entrepreneurs in the Maldivian landscape?
I think especially in the Maldivian landscape, in the business landscape, what we have seen for the past few years is that a lot of copycat businesses have been on the rise. And I think at the moment it has sort of stagnated, and people have realized the drawbacks of having copycat businesses. Because the thing is, and it was mentioned in the Menti screen as well, that the saturation of markets is a huge issue at the moment here in the Maldives. And the thing is, because you could have a shop or a business which is being operated in the same way by different people, when you go on the road, just standing adjacent to next to each other. So
Even in front of
thing,
you.
yeah, even in front of them as well. Because the thing is, usually when somebody starts a business, and because we are a small um, community, the thing is, when somebody starts to reap the benefits of his or her business, what it usually happens to us is because somebody else is doing it, because we see exactly how they are doing it, and we are seeing that it's profitable, we have a tendency to do the same thing because it's easier, the idea is already there, and we tend to copy the same thing and then try to get a benefit out of it. What we need to do is, if you like the idea, then try to find an element through which you can differentiate your business to the one that you are perhaps inspired of. Because the thing is, we now live in a society, or we now live in a world where it's very difficult to invent something new, because you're not going to reinvent the wheel. It's a saying that usually we hear, we are not going to reinvent the wheel, and that is true. We are not going to do that, but we can innovate the wheel. We can use the wheel to do something else, because the wheel is the key component or key idea behind um, different machineries. And because the industrial revolution came from the basic understanding that the wheel can be rotated, and that can be changed into cogs, and the cogs can be used in different machinery. That is the same principle that we are using in our computers, and all those things. Now we have micro technology, we are going for nanotechnology in the future. We are living in industry 4.0, where internet of things, things are communicating with each other. So we have come to a place where we don't need to reinvent something, but I think we need to re-innovate. We need to be creative about the ideas that we get, because we have the smartphones with us, which has extremely high functionality, but I think usually we are able to use only maybe 15% or 20% of the functionality that we have on the palm of our hands, in the palm of our hands. So I think what us as entrepreneurs, as local entrepreneurs, what we need to do is we need to find avenues where, if somebody is conducting a clothing business which is perhaps being imported, we need to identify a way where we can produce something local out of it. Perhaps maybe you can have a local production house which may not be able to cater for a global market, but maybe we can have it as a startup, or maybe we can have it as a foundation for something that can be developed over the next 10 years, over the next 15 years. So I think that is the direction that us as an economy, or us as a country, has to go in the future. What we have identified as a key area for which we need development through the experiences that we've had is something that we need to work on, is the innovation and creativity in the business for the next 10 to 15 years, so that we will be in a better way come maybe 2030, or maybe 2035. So I think that is something we've noticed as an organization. Azim, I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, thank you so much for the insightful uh, uh, insights on how students can utilize the types of support that is available. Now I'm just going to move on to the next part of today's session, where we are going to speak with Mr. Shabin Habib, who is from Coil Holdings International Private Limited. They actually have developed a very innovative line of products which integrate our local culture and our heritage. So I'm just going to first go ahead and allow Mr. Shabin to give a short introduction about the organization, and then we'll move forward with some follow-up questions. Mr. Shahabin, thank you for joining us. Could you just tell us a bit about your organization?
Uh, I represent Coil Holdings. So we started off as a eyewear brand, and we diversified into more elements. But to begin off, it was just an idea, and then we already invented the project and moved it pretty far along before we approached BCC. And after that, they did like help us grow and expand our market. It's really helpful that they have a shop in Welana International Airport where we can display our products to more than just locals. So initially, that was the idea that in Maldives, we wanted to basically take it outside and show that we have more to offer than just sandy beaches and whatnot.
A very wonderful observation. Could you just speak to our participants on what were some types of what was the process like in designing your products, and what was the process like in developing your product lines, especially considering the Maldivian market, something that can also cater to locals as well as cater to the international markets. What were some of the design provisions that you included into your product lines?
I think we, for example, uh, Iman was pretty much covering it, right? The idea is not to invent something. We didn't invent the sunglasses, but in our own little way, we innovated it. Uh, what we did was we took existing designs and made it a little bit more different and integrated the culture. We took design elements from the LI and we managed to put them all together into one little neat thing that has value. For example, I would say that when we showcase our design, when what we wanted to produce was something that's not so outrageous. I wouldn't want like triangles versus circles and put that on someone's face. We wanted something that represented Maldives as a souvenir as well as something that after they pay for, they get their value. So, but I guess there's a lot of barriers to entries for these kind of things. Research requires a lot of money and making the products, and there's plenty of stuff to go about it.
Circling back to the concept of market research and the importance of doing market research
Yeah.
in creating a product that is scalable, that is differentiated, and that is diversified, how do you think, what would you say is the way to properly conduct market research and to understand consumer demands in an ever evolving landscape?
To simplify that, you have to understand what people are willing to pay for. You can put a price tag on something and then sell it, but at the same time, if it does not have any value to it, for example, a lot of copycats, as Iman was saying, what they do is they take an existing thing and they just splash a label on it and bring it and then start selling it. This, in my point of view, as a designer, does not have any value. So what you want to do is basically redesign something in a way that it cannot be said it's copied towards that direction. So in terms of market research, I think it's important to find out about how much. I think putting a price tag on it is kind of important too. What is the affordability of the market that you want to reach? So if you have a very high-end spending, if you're trying to sell something in Paris, for example, you can label it with $1,000, $2,000 per piece. But if, for example, in Maldives, if you put like 10,000 rupiah per piece, it would be very hard to sell. So you have to understand the buying power and research into that. And obviously the trends of fashion in our case for sunglasses, yeah. So what would people wear? What would people want to do? And take polls and ask around with the resources available. We weren't aware of BCC when we first started designing the thing, so it would have been helpful if we could have taken a poll. I understand that you guys do provide this service, right? Yeah.
While preparing for today's session, I went through Coil Holdings website, and I could see that your product line seems to heavily be inspired by local cultures, traditions, and including some of the product lines are heavily referenced by local customs. I've seen that you have a product line called the Hokko, so which
Yes.
is quite different and has a very distinct naming scheme and design to it as well. So what was the importance of, let's call it that, what was the importance of making sure that you create a product that is culturally well integrated, but also one that could allow you to have a differentiated brand and a unique market positioning?
Well, we wanted to basically, we are Maldivians, right? The idea is that we're trying to put a value on our culture, which is kind of, in a way, impossible because it's years and years of development, and people have put so much time and effort into making our art, which is the cultural art that we have. And to integrate this, we looked, obviously, we have to understand that you cannot be offensive or in a way that basically we wanted to make sure everything is put into scale. Most of the naming and whatnot was done by Shaj and Habib, who couldn't be here today. Uh, yeah,
Okay,
no,
thank you.
I'm not entirely sure whether that answered your question.
No, no, it did touch base on it, but just moving back to it.
Okay.
What are some of the types of initiatives or design provisions or considerations that your organization takes to make sure that you have a differentiated product from these copycat competitors, while also ensuring that you have a very high quality product and a very distinct brand?
I think most of it is time. What happens is you can put a label on something and bring it. It's very quick. Within a week, they provide a sample, and then obviously Maldives does not have any raw materials, so we have to import all that. And in this regard, we had to send it back and whatnot. And COVID was a really big issue. All the countries were closed when we were doing this in the midst of all that. And yeah, that's basically what we had to do. Was we had to scrap the design too, because the standard that we wanted to bring to our customers were not met in certain during the timeline of the production of the thing. So design changes and whatnot.
Could you just share with us a few types of support or types of resources that you've received from organizations such as BCC, especially given the economic downturns, including the post-COVID restrictions and all of these logistical hurdles? What were some of the workarounds that you explored to make sure that you have the product available in the market, considering the market?
We did not want to open our own shop because that comes with a lot of financial burden. This is where BCC came in and helped us a lot. We can showcase our product. Now, one thing is there's a picture of a product. Another thing is to be able to go to the shop and feel it and experience a product. And in this regard, BCC really came through for us. And it's basically, I think any entrepreneur who is willing to lower the risk and enter into the business world, BCC would be really helpful in that regard. If you're trying to sell a product, that is.
Okay, let's now quickly just jump in and do one more poll related to Mr. Shabin's question. So the next question that would like to ask is the importance of networking for the success of a startup or starting up a business. How important are creating industry connections and having a good working relationship with your customers and potential suppliers? Just coming back to the results of the last poll, Mr. Shabin, could you just share with us types of insights or your experiences working with or collaborating with BCC and other suppliers and other teams and other organizations in the Maldives, and what is the importance of having a robust network of suppliers, or how important is networking for the sustained operations of a business like yours?
Networking is pretty important. Let's say, I guess when you talk to people, you come up with ideas too. For example, our bags that we provide, it has a little label inside. It says you have excellent taste. So it's like little things. I didn't personally come up with that. Shinan from Dark Rain Entertainment suggested something along the lines, and we developed that idea into something else. So that's one thing. And marketing and knowing people and networking is pretty much vital to a startup, because at the end of the day, asking for help when you don't know, and there is help available. So
Very good. Thank you for sharing those. We'll now move back to Mr. Iman again and speak on the topic of importance of education for entrepreneurship, since we are an education institute first. So from BCC's perspective, what are some types of noticeable skills and knowledge gaps? I think some of our participants were also had also shared some concerns that they don't really know where to start or how to start. So what are some types of noticeable skill gaps and knowledge gaps that you have seen, which is prevalent in aspiring entrepreneurs in the Maldives?
I think one such aspect is the financial aspect. That's something I thought about this now. I think usually when you aspire to start a business, the first thing, or one of the first things that you encounter is how are you going to finance your business? How are you going to manage your finances? I think that's one thing. Even if you have a very basic working knowledge of how these things work, it will be fine, because we're not talking about advanced mathematics or accounting skills. We're just talking about basic things where when you see it, okay, my business financially is perhaps not doing as well as it should be. I think if you are able to answer that question, then you're fine. So I think that is one thing that can be improved. I think that's one of the gaps that needs to be improved. The other thing is that we need to understand, or the entrepreneurs need to understand the industries that they are working in, or what they are trying to achieve, or what they are trying to create in a particular industry. If you know how the industry works, if you have a working understanding of the how the industry functions, then that is going to be really helpful for you to conduct your business. So I think that is perhaps outside of the general definition of the education that we have is usually about the theories and whatnot. But I think apart from that, if you have an understanding of how an industry works, because that is also part of the education and knowledge that you need for entrepreneurship. So that is one thing. And the other thing is you need to be able to conduct a very comprehensive ideation process for your business before you start the business. So you should be able to ask very important three questions. First question is, what is the problem that you are trying to find a solution for? Is there a problem in the society for which you can commercialize something? I think that is the first question that you need to ask. The second question is, what are the types of solutions that you can bring for that problem that you have identified? And the third question is, how can you commercialize that solution for you to be able to get a profit or revenue out of it? So if you are able to ask these questions and find answers to that through entrepreneurship education, or perhaps just the research of the industry that you are going to be operating at, then I think that is the importance of education, or importance of educating yourself, gaining more knowledge, so that you will be in a place where there'll be minimum surprises or minimal surprises in conducting your business. I think that is the key aspect, because usually what I think Shabin would also agree with me, because in businesses, it's not going to be as linear as you think it's going to be. It's not going to be a straight line, just from 0 to 100. It's going to be there are bumps along the way. COVID taught us a bitter lesson, I think, in terms of how businesses can falter in different environments. So, but and it's not it's worth to note that some businesses actually thrived during COVID because they were optimum environments for some of the businesses to actually prosper. So that needs to be something that we need to understand first of all. So I think that can be the importance of education in entrepreneurship in terms of gaining knowledge in entrepreneurship, I think.
Just adding on to that thought, what are the types of resources or types of recommendations that BCC can provide to budding entrepreneurs or to our students if they would like to fill these types of skills? Or what are the types of resources that you guys provide to entrepreneurs who would like to set up or start their business?
There are, I think, three aspects that I can highlight. First thing is we are always open for consultations. So if you want to, or if the entrepreneurs or the students, they want to discuss their ideas and the perhaps theories that they have, if they can be implemented in the real world, if it's practical or not, then they can book a consultation, have a word with us, have a discussion with us. I think that is one key thing that we can provide. The other thing is we also have a training institute through which we are trying to roll out different entrepreneurship skill development programs. So I think that is in the future, perhaps in the next year, we'll be able to roll those things out. So that can be one key aspect through which students can gain more knowledge, which they can connect with the knowledge that they are gaining from their foundations, degrees, and master's programs. So that is one thing as well. And if you want to practically experience exactly what it is to run a business, then we have opportunities within us as well. If you look at authentic Maldives, if you have a product, then perhaps you can approach us and then sell it through authentic Maldives, have an experience of how products are being sold, how the different markets affect different revenue streams and whatnot. You can actually experience how you can run a business. That is one thing. And maybe if you can associate yourself with maybe a semi hub, you can take a kiosk, see how you can run a kiosk physically, how that experience is going to affect you know uh, your potential to be a good entrepreneur. That is also something we can offer through the services that we have at the moment. And if you have any difficulty in perhaps taking a office space in order to do your administrative work or to hold meetings and stuff, then we have our co-working space as well to bridge that gap. So I think we have a pretty holistic approach within BCC to provide assistance to MSMEs, and our TV channel is there as well. So if you need marketing assistance, if you need assistance in terms of getting your product through to the market, then we have that service available for the entrepreneurs as well.
Taking into consideration, I'm now just going to jump back into our poll and see if our audience is inspired enough. So we just like to see whether they would like to consider collaborating with an institute like BCC for business growth in the future. You can just tap on your screen and let us know if this has been inspirational enough. We can see that we have one respondent. So we can see that some of the participants are still a bit unsure on what are the types of available opportunities. So I'm now going to move on to see what do the participants think is the most important or most crucial aspect of becoming a successful entrepreneur. So for this question, the participants can arrange them in order, and we are just going to sort of consolidate all the results into one and give a common consensus. So we can see that the participants agree that networking and collaboration is the most critical aspect. Financial literacy comes to surprising second, creativity is third. Okay, we can see that it's moving a bit. Let's just give them a few minutes. Looking onto these answers, Mr. Shabin, I would like to do a follow-up question to you, to ask if you agree with this result on innovation and creativity being the most crucial and critical aspect of becoming a successful entrepreneur. While conducting the research at Coil Holdings in designing your products, how important was it for you to make sure that you had a differentiated product? Because as you mentioned that you guys created a pair of sunglasses, so it's there's only so much that you can do. So what were some types of findings that you saw from the research that you conducted, and how did you consider that into designing your product?
Interesting question. I think we creativity was a big part of, because at the end of the day, Coil is a design company. All right. So that would come first. But I kind of disagree with the poll just now, if I may. I think it depends on what you want to do. If you want to make a design company, sure, creativity comes first. If you want to make something more towards a marketing company, I think networking would come first. So it depends on how and what your business plan is and how you would approach it. In our case, we had very little to work with. At the end of the day, we cannot make a huge sunglasses. So when it comes to small space design, there is very limited things that we can do. So we wanted to integrate Maldivian design at the same time, keeping it fashionable and something that people can wear every day. And these are some of the things that we took. If you could maybe perhaps repeat the question, I could elaborate a little bit more, or we could break it down a little bit.
So what I wanted to ask you was, the importance of creating something which was unique, because this is a common question that I get from my students as well, that, I have a product, but I'm quite scared that it might be easily replicated by someone else. So I don't think that my product is innovative enough, or whether it's creative enough. What would be, your advice to these types of, students?
I think no matter what you do in this world, it will be copied. So don't let that fear keep you from pursuing your dreams. You see, for example, Louis Vuitton, that's pretty hard to copy, but they still produce AAA grade bags and whatnot, right? So it's the same thing. I feel like you have to come first. You have to push aside your fear and like just go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Shabin. Moving back to the concept of importance of education, I just wanted to touch base on one last question to Mr. Iman related to this. What do you think are the types of, what are the most sought after skills and technical knowledge that is beneficial for someone who's aspiring to be an entrepreneurship, and how can students who are currently studying work on developing these skills? What are the types of resources that they can pursue into honing their skills?
I think one key aspect is the management skills of managing a business, because we talk about a lot of theories during our degrees and masters and whatnot, and it's different when you actually gain the knowledge, and when you do it practically, when you understand actually how these things work, how, because there are different aspects to management. Yeah, there's people management, there's resource management, there's financial management. So I think one key category, or one key component of education during entrepreneurship, or within entrepreneurship, is the knowledge of management. That is one key aspect. So if here in the Maldives, actually, we have different resources that students can use in order for them to enhance their management skills. And actually, this is something BCC and more specifically SME Hub has been working for the past few months, is that to provide uh, students with the opportunity to have practical experiences in terms of running a business within the kiosks that are set in the SME Hub. I think before I started, I wasn't able to give the an introduction of SME Hub as such. SME Hub is a 3-floor mall that is located near Islami Markaz, that is Chandani Magu, and Orchid Magu junction. So SME Hub is actually a 3-floor mall which acts as an incubation facility, where you have a cafe downstairs, a bookstore for local authors, plant rack, and other facilities for plant suppliers. And for the first floor, you have a 19 kiosk food court for local startups and small and medium
I may
enterprises.
add
And
to that, for those of you who are living in Mali, if you haven't been there, you should. They have a very, very delectable selection of lunch offers. You may continue.
thank you so much. Yeah, and you have our recently opened second floor actually has art and craft kiosks, garment kiosks, and we have a 25-seater cinema which is going to open very soon. Our hair and makeup salon opened last night, and we have a kids play area for parents to keep their kids, do some shopping, have some food, and we have a gaming area as well, so which is operated by Dragon Zone. I think most of you are familiar with them. So you have these opportunities for local businesses, and what we were trying to do was we wanted to allocate some of the kiosks, maybe from food and beverages, and the second floor kiosk, one of them, for students, or maybe in partnership with the educational institutes, especially higher education institutes, so that they can form groups, come in, conduct their businesses, maybe as part of an assessment, so that there would be something to work towards at the end of the day. So I think that is something we can explore going forward, which can be a huge opportunity for students to actually, you know, incorporate their theories into a practical context and see how they actually work, see if
If I
they
may add
work
to
in
that,
this context.
as a lecturer that's engaged at business school, and I've been actively part of the teaching faculty for the last few years. But some of the key trends that I have seen in sort of the submissions submitted by my students is that even when selecting an organization or a company for one of their case studies or their assignment, rarely do we see students taking up local examples. It's mostly companies that are based abroad. So what do you think are some of the things that we as educational institutes can do to sort of bridge this sort of disinterest in Maldives
Yeah.
and SMEs, and to also equip students with the entrepreneurial skills and knowledge that will get them more interested in the Maldivian economy, and to select local examples where possible.
I think one key thing, I think this is something that needs to be done with the assistance of the private sector, or the companies or the firms that we are usually going to be engaged with for those sort of examples. I think the availability of data, that is something that needs to be addressed, because um, for international companies, it's very easy for us to get data. You can just Google the name of the company, and everything is there for us to see and for us to learn from as well. But for the local companies, the thing is, except a few huge companies or corporations here in the Maldives, a very little data is available for us to go forward with, maybe giving an example, or perhaps to give the students a task for them to come up with a research and analysis or critical analysis for them to understand actually what's going on in the industry or in the corporation, or in the company. So I think the first thing that we would need to do going forward is to make data available, or if in some cases there is no data collected as well during the period of their inception and operation. So first thing is to have a system or to have an understanding that this data is necessary for students to be able to do their research. And maybe even there could be, I think this is practiced in some of the countries abroad. They use the analysis by students to do further analysis and then make strategic decisions out of it. So I think that is also something we can explore going forward, something BCC as the SMA Development Corporation is trying to implement in the SMA community and the industry. So something that we are doing as a corporation is to do that within ourselves first, so that we can have a platform for SMEs to come in and you know have us as an example, or us as mentors to be able to bring that bring that forward. That is something that can be done. Yeah.
Circling back to the concept of mentorship, we have a very large student population based within the atolls, and as a business lecturer, some of the key concerns that I get from my students is that a lot of the services remain consolidated within central Maldives or within the greater Malé area. So speaking on today's insights on your reach within the Maldives, the fact that you have stations within multiple locations in a lot of cities across the country, in most of the populous regions, in most airports. So what could you just highlight on the types of support that BCC is providing to those based within the atolls, and specifically what are the types of opportunities or resources available to entrepreneurs living in outside of Malé area?
So actually, we have 13 business centers, including the business center in Malé, which is scattered across the country covering almost all the atolls in the Maldives, one way or the other. So I think we have started and we have been implementing our services in such a way that you wouldn't need to come to Malé, or you wouldn't need to contact our headquarters in Malé to be able to get consultation services. That is the one key thing that we've been working on for the past 4 or 5 years. And diving deeper into the services that we usually give, actually within the island or regional business centers, as we call it, you can actually get your consultation services because there will be registered SMA consultants at every uh, regional business center. So you would be able to get the necessary assistance in order to improve your business, in order to start your business, or perhaps get financial assistance. The other thing is you can request for workshops and training programs that we have given them the content and the support to conduct within the areas that they are, or their jurisdictions. So I think that is the other thing. And the next thing is, in addition to the 13 business centers that we have across the country, we are trying to expand the projects that we are conducting in Malé to different parts of the country. So perhaps if you look at Authentic Maldives, it's been growing for the past 4 years, 3.5 years, I think. It's been growing so much that now our focus is to have Authentic Maldives outlets in strategic parts of the country. So we've started with Addo. Perhaps we'll go to other locations in the country, so that the opportunity is provided to all of us, not just people living in the greater Malé area. So now, because of the outlet in Addo city, the region now has an Authentic Maldives outlet to which the producers, manufacturers, local manufacturers of that region can supply their products there and sell it through the outlet. So similarly, if you look at SME Hub, our plan is to expand SME Hub as well, because that is essentially a pilot project that we've piloted. Now we've identified that it's been working for the past year. So now we are trying to have it expanded to maybe Addo, Kurdufushi, these strategic regions, or maybe Formula in the future. other parts as well. We have different strategic places that we can take a semi-hub and the concept towards. So that can be a place where you can practically experience exactly what you need to do in order to conduct a business before you actually go and do it in a larger scale. So I think there
Wonderful.
are opportunities going forward. Even right now, we have opportunities through the business centers. And I think our strategic direction is aligned in such a way that everybody can get our assistance in the future.
Let's quickly move back into the poll, and I think it would be an ideal time to ask the participants if they have any questions that they would like to ask our esteemed speaker. So it's going to give them all a few minutes to type in any kind of questions. In the meantime, if you would like to join us directly on Zoom, you may use the raise hands feature, and we would be happy to take your question over audio or video, whatever way that you're most comfortable in sharing, or you can also drop one anonymously. We are also accepting questions in the chat thread, or you can also use the raise hands feature. If any of the participants, I can see some of our students are also here joining us today, including our distinguished faculty. Okay, so I believe some of them are just, typing in the question. So, okay, all right, we can see one question. Is it possible to start a business with a small financial capital? I think both the speakers could add into this. What are some of the types of capital requirements, or how much money do I really need to start a business today?
Yes, you can start a small business with a small amount of financial capacity. Depends on how much, what kind of thing that you want to do.
Thank you, Mr. Shabin. Iman, do you have anything to add?
I think that was pretty much it. I think, yeah, it depends on the type of business that you are going to enter into, because ultimately, if it's a business that is going to require huge financial capacity, then don't think there's much we can do about it. But I think there are ways you can optimize the financial startup cost. I think that's something that can be looked into, because there are things you don't necessarily have to invest in when you start a business. I think that's the key component in understanding that. Just identify what you actually need rather than what YouTube tells us that we need, something like
I think that's a wonderful observation, right? We do have some few follow-up questions. Let's see. What do you think is the best advice you can give to someone who wants to start up a new business?
Uh, do not fear failure, because failing is part of learning. So even if you do, you can pick yourself up and keep moving forward until you get it right. Just like Thomas Edison and the light bulbs, which
Oh,
by he said that he found 995 ways or something not how not to build a light bulb. So basically, failing means you're learning something, so you can keep pushing forward and persevere. I think that
wonderful.
yeah.
Shall we move on to the next question? It says, what would you suggest we can do to help a business to grow in, I'm assuming from the Maldivian context? What are some of the things that we can do to grow our business? I think by growth, this is, I'm assuming this is from a marketing perspective or a differentiating perspective through positioning. What are some of the things that we can do to grow our business?
I think one thing that we usually do prematurely is to expand our business, to, sort of like, I'm actually finding the word, it's not coming to me, but
Spending too much all at once, maybe just trying to make sure everything's perfect, right?
yeah, at the same time, I think what we usually do is we branch out our business too soon. So when the business that we actually started initially, if that is not sustainable, if that is not um, you know uh, if that is not going to be uh, strong in such a way that if you can't let it go without it being sustainable on its own, then don't try to branch out your business, because that is usually what we do after usually a year. This is actually a research that was conducted. Businesses usually fail within the first year or after the second year. So within the first year, the thing is you actually don't understand what business you're getting into. You don't have the proper ideation process that you need to follow beforehand, and then you feel like, okay, you can do it, but once you get into it, you know exactly what it is, and then you don't have the resources or the capacity to do it, so you bow out. The next part is after 2 years, you feel like your business is sustainable and you try to branch it out, and then both of those things fail because
If I
the
may add
first.
to that, this is just something that I have noticed because I
Yeah,
tend to do a lot of shopping of
yeah,
pages on Instagram and social media. One thing I've noticed is that a lot of these new businesses that start up, I mean, it's really nice to see, but I feel like spending excessive, just a lot of money on packaging and collateral. Like sometimes you see them, just offering free gifts, free stickers, a lot of free collateral. I mean, maybe in hopes of getting a return purchase. But Shaban, what do you think? Do you think these are necessities? Investing and focusing so much on the little things as a new or budding business.
That again depends on what the product is. For example, giving out free things is one thing, but another thing is maintaining standard. When you look at free stickers that are irrelevant or packaging that's too extravagant, from their perspective, I believe that they buy the product, whatever they're selling, for a considerably cheap price. And it's basically like putting makeup on the product. Before the product is not perfect, you put in all these things and then try to sell it saying this is something worth putting your money into. I think that's the approach, but without perfecting the product, if you put money into that, it might possibly go into a very bad direction, because a product nagaging gosa, it will break within, I don't know, 1 2 months at
And and
maximum.
and rarely do I see, any type of call to action. Even when, like, let's assume you have a really nice packaging for your product. Rarely do I see, businesses here asking us to, post it on our socials. This is something which is quite, polar opposite on if it were from from a foreign country or abroad, you see, like just plastered all around the bag. Give us, post about our product on social media or give us a feedback. We rarely see these types of approaches integrated into product design in the Maldivian climate.
I think we don't do a good cost benefit analysis before we dive into these things, because I think something we've noticed at SME Hub was some of the vendors started to give this discount where you go and take a picture of the product, you tag them, and then you get a 10% discount. So you're getting something out of it for sure, because you're marketing your product, you're definitely marketing your product on social media without actually spending money on it, but you're just giving a discount so that that actually counts as part of your marketing budget. So I think if you actually quantify these things, you understand how your business is growing or how you are spending on making it grow in the future, or during that certain period that you are conducting that promotion for. So then maybe you can justify it, but if you can't back it up with the numbers, then I don't think you should proceed with something like that.
I think we have 3 more questions. It says, when you guys started Authentic Maldives, what were some of the challenges you faced, and how did you deal with them? I think this question is particularly related to finding sufficient vendors, because I remember walking into Authentic Maldives during its initial, first few weeks, and there weren't a lot of products or, or vendors. So what were the ways that dealt with this challenge?
We actually started with 54 suppliers during I think it was 2021 when we started. So what we did, and something that actually boosted Authentic Maldives was, I think Sharbin would also agree, it was the opening of the Velana International Airport outlet. So I think it became a catalyst for local entrepreneurs to approach Authentic Maldives and become our suppliers, because that actually opened up opportunities for suppliers to connect with the international market rather than only the local market. Because and something I actually say is, because the local market contains of around 600,000 people at max, but the international market is 7 billion people. So if you have a way to access that, and through one of the busiest airports in the world, then yes, because that becomes a catalyst for change, for growth. So I think that was the one of the challenges that we faced was the provision of international market access for our suppliers, and that was solved by our outlet in Velana International Airport.
Moving forward to the next question, it says, suggestions for networking in the Maldives. Sharbin, I think you could add to this. Where do I find like-minded individuals, and how do I find people who are willing or to support in my entrepreneurial journey?
Very interesting question. I guess you just make friends, and you try not to go under the bad influence of people. If they're not where you want to be, don't start following them around. I think that's advice for younger kids. I'm not sure what the age range is between, like how many people are joining and whatnot.
Yeah,
And
we should take. Yeah, unfortunately I could not get a consensus of the age groups, but our student population is quite young. We do have a lot of school leavers who are just fresh out of school and who enroll in our programs, but also we have a lot of seniors in our student database.
okay,
I
so
think there's also now, together with the change with SME Hub and Business Center Corporation, I can see that there's a lot more avenues and opportunities for networking. There's a lot of events, there's a lot of partnerships and opportunities. I think you just have to look at the right places and you should find one. Let's finally move on to the last and final question. For online businesses, the biggest challenge some people face are importing the products. Is there any easier approach, or how do you deal with the production and the logistics aspect of it? Shabin, I think you could add to this.
if you're planning to import things into the country, then you have to go through the procedure. There's no shortcut to it. You cannot
I
just
think this could also be interpreted in terms of how do we find reputable suppliers, or how do we, produce something other than just buying it off on fast moving websites or reselling products. What if I want to create my own product? How difficult is this? Is this a very difficult endeavor? Like, how would you go about it?
One way is the cheaper option would be to stay here and go through about it online. You can do your research, Google, and so many resources which weren't really there when we were kids. But now you guys have that. But another way is to fly to these conferences that have where all these suppliers come together, and you can physically see the materials that they have to build, make your dream product come to life. That's
Thank you, Shabin. Moving back, and since we are running a little low on time, so just for our closing remarks, I just wanted to pass one last question to Mr. Iman, and this is particularly relevant to our students who are based in the atolls. Can you sort of just elaborate on some types of initiatives that BCC has taken or are planning to take to foster entrepreneurship particularly within the atolls, and to sort of just drive this message forward, especially within the atolls? What are some of the initiatives that you guys are doing right now?
At the moment, through our training institute, we are trying to conduct different online programs for which students from across the country can enroll in, be engaged in the entrepreneurial development work that we are doing going forward, that we will be doing going forward. And at the same time, MBN, our business channel, we are trying to incorporate a lot of content which can be used going forward, which can be used to enhance one's entrepreneurial skills, to listen to what people are, it's sort of like this webinar being broadcasted, to the public, where you can watch it. It's actually available in MediaNet and SSNet channel number 13 and MediaNet channel number 144. We are currently broadcasting at night from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. So that is actually what we are doing at the moment. And in the pipeline, there are projects that can be used for, like I've mentioned, maybe SME Hub and Authentic Motives. These things are growing in such a way that it will be perhaps our future direction is that the entire country will be covered with these services as well. So I think those are the things that they can expect, and the things that they can now be engaged in at the moment.
Sharbin, any closing remarks for our participants? What are some kind of types of future plans that we can expect from Coil Holdings? Maybe new products in the pipeline, or any new ventures that you guys are investing in? If you could share anything to our participants.
And those things are very confidential. But I think, if you have a dream, follow it, and it will get you somewhere. And even if it doesn't, that's a lesson that you learn. So keep moving forward. And people like BCC and the government, there's lots of help that you can ask. And as for networking, I thought about it for a minute. And BCC is one way to network. You guys have an office, right?
Yeah.
You guys, and it's open for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Go
Seed by
there.
BCC, right? Co-working space.
See, yeah. So go there, start hanging out with people,
Yes.
talk, communicate, and I guess you'll find your way to achieving your business. Hopefully.
Thank you so much, Sharbin and Iman as well, on behalf of BCC and Coil. On behalf of BCC and Coil Holdings International Private Limited, thank you both for joining our session today. As for just as a closing remark, I would like to let our participants who are joining from outside that the Maldives Business School is presently accepting applications for our next intake beginning in January of 2024. The last submission date for our programs is December 25th. We have a plethora of programs ranging from business administration, management, finance, accounts, and IT programs, from university preparation programs starting from certificate level all the way up to master's degree. And we look forward to conducting similar webinars and more interactive sessions for our students and general public who are interested in driving the entrepreneurial spirit forward. On behalf of the management of Maldives Business School, we thank both the speakers for taking time out of their schedule to speak to us on this very interesting and exciting webinar. Thank you both for joining. I'm just going to conclude the session here for now. Thank you both.